Hello, thanks for watching the movie. Hope you enjoyed it. In this next section, I'll be walking through the process I took to create this short film. And if that's of interest to you, continue watching. It doesn't matter whether it's an AI short film or a regular movie. If you're producing any type of media, it usually goes through this three-step process, right? You have the pre-production, production, and post-production. Even to produce this movie, Thazhuval, I basically went through these three steps. Okay, so let's start with the pre-production. So when it comes to pre-production, I started with the idea. So what is it I want to convey? The crux of the idea was get back up again. So I just wanted a film that would inspire people to get back up again, even when they fall down or even when they find themselves in some sort of a betrayal and they are on the pit, right? So the idea is get back up again. Okay, and the context in which I wanted to tell the story was this Jallikattu sport, which is very popular in the southern part of India. In Tamil, it is called Thazhuval. Okay, it means bull embrace. Okay, so in Tamil, we don't even call it bull fighting. It's rather bull embrace. Okay, so that's what Thazhuval means. So I wanted to have the sport of Thazhuval, bull embrace, as the setting to convey this message of get back up again. Okay, so that's where it all started from. So in the pre-production step, the key outcome that I wanted to get is these two things. Okay, so I wanted to get all the prompts created that are needed to then feed into the video generation AI models, and then also all the different assets. The assets would be things like the characters, environments, props, and the key reference frames that we then plugged into the video generation model. So to a video generation model, we usually plug these two things: the prompt, obviously you need to give it, and then a bunch of references. And this is essentially the context that you give in addition to the prompt for the video generation model to generate the videos. So I wanted to get these two things sorted out in the pre-production step itself. So the way I created all the prompts for the main movie script and also the prompts to generate all these assets is by means of using Claude Code. Okay, now we can actually make use of Claude Chat or ChatGPT or any other AI assistant for this process. I found Claude Code to be much more useful in this context because it directly, Claude Code lives in my machine. So here is where I have the Claude Code chat interface, and as I chat with Claude, it will automatically create the necessary files for me directly in this directory. I have named it Jallikattu. So that was like the working name before I then settled on Thazhuval. So all the prompts and whatever references or things that I needed will just be generated and created here. Rather than having it in this linear chat interface, it might be difficult to find the prompts that I need or iterate on them. You have the script and you also have all the different assets here. You have the characters and you have the environments and you have the prop, prompts. So it's basically just text, right? So because anyway, the asset itself is going to be generated as an image using an image generation model. For it, it just needs the prompt, and we have all the prompts over here. So that's basically the idea of making use of Claude Code to generate all the prompts. Okay, and then in order to generate the images itself, right, the assets, the images that we're going to be feeding into the video generation model, I made use of GPT Image 2.0. I also have had good success with using Google's Nano Banana image generation model, but the GPT Image 2.0 is also very good, and at least in this production, that's what I primarily used. I'll quickly show you the assets that I generated. I was working on all these image generation and video generation models instead of a platform called Eleven Labs. So they have this flows interface. So here you see all the different flows that I have. A flow is essentially just a project where you can connect all these image generation and video generation models as nodes and wire them up. So for example, here I have this flow project called Jallikattu. So this is the file that I primarily use to do all the asset generation, all the image generations basically. And as you can see, it's quite big. It's got all the different characters. So here you see the character sheet that was built based on this original character sheet that I have of myself, which I in turn created it with just these pictures. I just gave these pictures of me in different angles, and that's essentially how I created the avatar of the main hero character. I just plugged all of this into this to get the default character sheet. And then from this default character sheet, I asked, again, Claude is the one who has given me the prompt. So for example, here under references, you can see the character Rajan. And here, I even gave this image of my raw character sheet to Claude. And so Claude can see, it can't directly generate images, but it has visibility and it can understand images, right? So I gave this image as input, and Claude is the one who wrote the script itself. Right? So I actually tagged the script file as well. And based on that, asked it to write the prompt that I would need to give into like an image generation model to generate the character sheet of the main character. So that's essentially what we have added here. And based on that, it generated this, character sheet of this Jallikattu or Thazhuval player, a champion. Okay. So, and based on like this character sheet, we also have generated all the key frames that are needed for the movie. And then this is like the antagonist character. We have him as well, like the key frames for him. And then, the bad guy's sidekick is also here. His images have been generated. And then this is like the main bull that he embraces, right? So we have that majestic bull and all the different keyframes for the bull as well, and then some side characters, images. This is the main arena where this sport is happening, so we have that image as well. And the image, a close-up of the ground, the red soil, and then this is like the Vadi Vasal, main gate from which the bulls come outside. So we have that also generated, and then you see the bull, shooting out of the gate. I took all the prompts that we have here and used GPT Image 2 as the image generation model to create all these assets. Okay. Now, one thing I found was, as I use at least the 11 Labs flow interface and add a lot of nodes, the interface does get sluggish over time. It becomes difficult to move the canvas and add new nodes and all those things. So what I decided early on, like especially after generating all these image assets, is I would do the generation of the videos in separate flow interfaces rather than a single flow project. So that was like a judgment call I made, because it would have been really difficult to do all those video generations with just a single file, especially when it becomes sluggish to use with like a lot of nodes being added. This is the idea. So we have all the images generated, and with that, the first step, which is like, the pre-production side of things, is complete, right? So we have, based on our idea of Get Back Up Again and this context of, Thazhuval, bull embrace, we have all the prompts that we need. See, we have all the prompts, the script prompt and also the character prompts, and also we have all the assets, basically like all the images that are needed to be plugged in. Now, one thing to note here is this prompt of the script, right? So the script is not like a traditional script that you use for like a traditional movie making process. So since this is an AI like film, we are actually going to be making use of this video generation model. And in this case, the main video generation model that we are using is something called C-Dance, okay? And C-Dance can generate only 15 seconds at a time, okay? So, and this short film, the idea that I had was like, I wanted it to be around 3 minutes long. So if one node can generate 15 seconds, so then I would need 12 nodes of C-Dance to produce 15 seconds each. So then I'll have a short film that will be around 3 minutes long. So that was my idea, okay? I have asked it to build the prompts in such a way that we will be able to work with all these different nodes. So, and you can see the entire a movie broken up into these beats. The first node, which is 15 seconds long, you have the arena awakes, and then in the second node we do the champion and the handy trust. The third node has like another beat, the sport shows his teeth, untouchable, and so you see the beat of the movie here, like every node, conveys a beat. Okay, so there are these 12 beats in the movie, and it is also broken down into these 3 acts. The first act is conveyed in first 4 nodes, and then you have the second act in the next 3 nodes, and the third act in the final 5 nodes. Okay, so that's basically the idea. And you see the prompts that we will need to feed into each of the nodes. So this is the prompt for node number 1. And then if you scroll down, you'll be able to see the prompt for node number 2 and so on. And another cool thing that I asked Claude Code to do is, since we already have all the asset prompts here, I asked it to mention the name of the images that I have to plug into this node. Okay, so that's also here. So E1 would be like environment 1, probably is like gallery 1, and supporting actors 1 and so on. So flag line 1. And if you see node number 2, it has like other images that need to be connected to it. So this, helped me to shave off some manual work that I would have to do otherwise. All the thinking and cognitive load has been delegated to Claude Code, and it took care of preparing everything for me. So all I had to do was just copy and paste these prompts into the respective image or video generation AI models. Now another thing also to note is like these images, right? In the 11 Labs interface, you can refer them directly by using this @ symbol. I asked Claude Code to also directly just refer to, like, not only are we attaching these images as reference to the video generation model, we are using these @ symbols to directly refer to those references so that the video generation model has maximum context on what we are talking about. So yeah, so that's basically the first step of pre-production. Once we got this right, so this is what took most of my time, okay, when it comes to producing this movie. Once we have like this nailed down, the other things just fall into place, because you have the main things, the ingredients of the movie, which are the prompts and the assets ready. So the next step when it comes to production, you see it even has like very little amount of things to talk about. The main outcome that we want to generate in the production is the video generations, right? So because like once you have the video generations, those 15 seconds generations, then you bring it like in post-production to like a editing application to create the final edit. But in this step of production, we just copy and paste those respective prompts into the video generation model. So I'll show you how I did this. And the video generation model that we used for this movie is CDance 2.0. So let me show how we set this up. Okay, so this is like the first video generation model. So we have like these 12 different projects. The reason, again, as I shared earlier, when we keep this node graph smaller in each of these projects, it seems to be more performant, especially because like even in Chrome, right, every tab is its separate process, right? So that also helps. So it's like a multi-process production in a way that made things much more easier to move things around and like do these generations rather than having everything in like a single file. So here, this is the first generation that we are doing, and you see all the images that we had generated earlier, right, as assets. We have them here and we are plugging them into this particular CDance video generation model, and we have the prompt here. So I'm just like basically copying the prompt from this script file and attaching these images into it. When we ask it to generate, we have a generation done. Okay, so that's basically the idea. And that's essentially the process that I'm repeating for every other video generation. Like, and you see each video generation is 15 seconds long. The cool thing about CDance is it also generates audio along with the video, right? So that's super useful. And here you see the next second generation. So each generation would have multiple shots in it, right? So that's something that we need to be aware of. So it's not like a single shot. It's like, a generation. It's not even a sequence because Claude has structured it in that way, but it's just a generation of 15 seconds, which has multiple shots in it. And the cool thing with the prompt itself is you see that for every, seconds, we have the description of what needs to be generated, right? So that's another cool thing that Claude has done for us. So basically we had asked it to do it, and based on it, it set it up. So based on the, the ideas that we have conveyed that need to be shown in those respective seconds, you have those respective shots. So this is the second generation that we did, and then you see the third generation here again, basically the same idea. So you just plug in all the images, and at times like I observed that when it comes to generating these assets, right, like rather than doing them upfront in in a single file, doing it based on the video generation prompt seems to be much more efficient, because when you're generating this particular 15 seconds, you're going to be having much more context, and cognitively you will be in the mind space to think about this generation that you're doing. Like, and so here you'll be like in that mind space of generating this the first 15 seconds and just focusing on getting those images that are needed for this first 15 seconds seems to be much more efficient, because many images that I generated initially in this single file project, I didn't even end up using it, because when I do the video generation, I could see that certain things could be improved upon based on the prompt of this particular 15 seconds. And I did end up doing newer generations of the same images. So if, for example, here you see for this supporting characters, I wanted the people to look similar to the people in the crowd. So I plugged that in, and I plugged the arena's view so that, it looks like these two people are in the arena, right? So those kind of things, you can do much more efficiently when you are actually focused on that 15 seconds that you are generating. So that's what I would suggest. Okay. As you see, almost for every video generation, I ended up regenerating many of the images based on the particular generation that I'm doing. So here, this is the second generation, and you see the third generation over here. And you see this also, we have all these connections. Here also we are plugging all these reference images. For certain video generation, like for this one, I had to do multiple generations. So if you see the first version of it, certain things didn't look right. So especially the ending of this video, right? So, the hero character is on the bull, and when he's getting down itself, he should have picked up the pouch, the Jallikattu, they should have picked it up. But it looks like, the last part of this video is a bit off. See, it's like the bull just ran away, and then it looks like, he's just picking it up from a bull that is dormant, but it's actually like the bull is running away. He should have picked it up while the bull is running off the screen. So I found that to be odd. So I generated it again, and the second iteration, you can see it's much better. And especially the end of the shot, you can see that as he gets out of the bull, he also picks up the Jallikattu, that pouch. So this seemed to be much better. So in certain instances, I had to do multiple generations of the video, but mostly, in a single generation itself, it, look good, because we are giving proper prompts into it, right? We are giving, properly structured prompts with appropriate reference images. So that's the fourth generation, and then you have the fifth generation, and so on. Basically, that's the idea. So we just keep repeating this for all those 12 nodes, and we have the 12 15-second videos generated. Okay, so that's essentially the production side of things. So that's the second step. We get all those 12 15-second videos generated using Cdance 2.0. Once we have that, now we come to the post-production side of things. So this is where we create the final edit. So the application that I use for editing is DaVinci Resolve. And once you have the final edit in place, there might be certain shots which would need some spot corrections to be done. And for doing those spot corrections, I made use of Google Omni Flash. Okay, so let's see the edit in action. So here is DaVinci Resolve, and you see all those 15 videos placed over here. I also added a bit of a title here in DaVinci Resolve. And over here, if some shots did not work, I just trimmed it off. But it was just very minor cuts that I had to do. And over here, for the sequence where the bad guys are putting oil on the bull's hump, right? I added the subtitle of previous night. So that's something that I did here. So otherwise, I didn't have to do much edits in the DaVinci Resolve, because along with the video, the audio is also generated. It's all, in place. The one thing that I had to do was just, made sure there is a bit of consistency and flow in the sequence. So I just had to just watch out for certain things that looked odd. For example, in this intense sequence, there were some structures over here which I didn't like and I wanted to remove. In order to remove those structures, I just rendered this particular sequence alone and brought it into 11 Labs and used Google OmniFlow to remove those structures. Previously, in a traditional approach, you would have to track that particular structure and then do some cleanup work and all, which would be very time consuming. But here, I was able to do that cleanup work just by asking Google Omni Flash to do it. So that was pretty cool. So that's essentially the post-production process. I just put all these shots together, made sure they are looking good. And in the sequence, I did rearrange certain shots to make the storytelling even more engaging. Otherwise, it was just a simple edit that I put together to create this movie. So yeah, so that's essentially the post-production process that I went through. So even in this AI movie making paradigm, we still have pre-production, production, and post-production in place. It's just that the things that you do in each of these steps is now different. Hope this video was useful. Thanks for watching.